today we'll be looking at nutrition in children under 2. We are starting from the moment we have a pregnant woman, how nutrition in pregnancy affects the development of the fetus, right to when the child is being born. So we're going to look at nutrition in children from age 0 to 6 months, and of course highlighting on exclusive breastfeeding. And from there we'll also be looking at nutrition in children from 6 months up until 2 years, and that is when we start to kind of introduce the family food to the child. So did you know that the nutrition of a child can actually affect the child's physical development, psychological development, and cognitive development as well? So tonight with me, I have here in the studio a fine gentleman who is in person of Mr. Tariq Al Hassan. Now he is a nutritionist and also a mentor for young children in Lead for Ghana. He's also an advocate for health and nutrition. Let's look at pregnant women. How important is it for our pregnant women to concentrate or focus well on their nutrition, and how does it benefit the fetus?
In our setting here, there is always that concern, because sometimes most women don't get prepared before they get pregnant. But it is very important, if you have the intention of nursing a baby, then you should be very prepared before you get pregnant.
Right.
And the preparation here is the foods that you have to eat. You have to maintain some adequate stores of some particular nutrients that is going to support the growing fetus in you. Otherwise, it's going to cause a lot of complications and defects later. So we are going to look at those nutrients you need to concentrate more when you have the intention of becoming pregnant. So in this case, it is very important you make that intention. You don't accidentally become pregnant. But in our setting, sometimes it happens a lot. Women get pregnant accidentally, but it is good you get prepared very well in relation to the foods that you're going to eat, to maintain adequate levels of those foods before you become pregnant. For instance, one key nutrient that we always talk about is folic acid or folate. Sometimes people even encourage women to just take it on usual basis. Yeah, they should just take it, because even on monthly basis they lose blood, and folic acid helps to maintain blood levels. So especially when you are having the intention of becoming pregnant, then that is the time you should even make the intake of this particular nutrient very important to yourself. For instance, and when you are going to take that, we usually encourage that you maintain the levels of foods that has this nutrient in them. So when you keep taking this food, at least before you become pregnant, the stores will become adequate to support you and the growing baby. And mind you, there is always this competition between you and the fetus. If there is
for nutrients,
especially for that nutrient, if there is inadequacy of folic acid or iron deficiency during pregnancy, and by nature the fetus has that affinity for iron more than the pregnant woman, so you will suffer more than the fetus. It's only on severe cases that the fetus will also begin to suffer their consequences. But on the normal basis, if you are iron deficient or folic acid, which also contribute to that, the fetus will gain more. But when it becomes so severe, then all of you will suffer. So it is good you maintain adequate levels of folic acid, and foods that you can get folic acid. We have these green leafy vegetables like alefu, ayoyo, all these things. And the richest,
can you prepare that?
All of them.
Okay.
Trust me. and for folic acid, the richest source in animals is liver.
Okay.
The meat liver is very rich in folic acid. So for a woman who is pregnant or trying to become pregnant, to maintain the levels of this nutrient, you can concentrate on that. And then one advantage of the animal source of that nutrient is that it is readily available for the system. There is something we call bioavailability.
Right.
So it is bioavailable for the system to get you to use it. So
okay, so I think you have brought a technical word. So the bioavailability, like can you explain it for our listeners?
So bioavailability here means that after digestion, when you take the food source of that nutrient, when it is digested, it is there for the system. If it is going to be in a soluble form, it will be there in a soluble form for the body to take. If it is going to be carried by a carrier, then it will be there for the body to use it.
Right.
Yeah. So there are some nutrients that has to undergo certain processes, but that one, it is easily there
absorbed
for the,
into the body.
easily absorbed into the body. So that's what we call bioavailability.
Right.
Yes. And then there is also another nutrient we call calcium. Calcium is very good for the growing baby and even you, the pregnant woman,
right.
especially for the fetus. The bones and other things are going to develop in later life. So calcium is very important. You maintain levels of calcium. And then for calcium, meat too provides us a lot of calcium, especially bones. And right. I don't mean those heavy bones we have to suffer and crack
and cut them.
Yeah,
but
those
soft
chewable ones, good.
Right.
They provide you with a lot of calcium. And then you also have to consider certain nutrients in terms of reducing their intake.
Okay.
For instance, caffeine products, and caffeine products here, soft drinks or energy drinks, almost 99% of them contain caffeine.
Right.
Especially the gassy drinks, the fizzy drinks, all
like
of them
Coke,
contain, yes,
Sprite.
they contain caffeine. So if you are trying to become pregnant, even women, I personally will not encourage women to be taking it, because even with the caffeine, if not just because of pregnancy, the iron and then other nutrients, it has the ability to prevent the system from getting access to it.
Okay.
There's something we call inhibition. It can inhibit it, so the system will not get access to those nutrients.
Right.
And then for iron, women need it more even than men. So if you are trying to become pregnant, you have to limit your caffeine intake. Good, because caffeine intake can cause miscarriage. Yeah,
okay.
It has the tendency to cause miscarriage, and that is very deadly. Yes, right. And then even with that, caffeine can cause sleep problems. If you take caffeine as a pregnant woman, you need to have enough rest, especially in the night. You need to sleep well. Yes. And here is the case: in the night, you can't even sleep well. It's going to affect your life, causing a lot of stress, and it's going to affect the growing fetus. So caffeine needs to be limited.
Right.
And then, of course, processed foods. I would say you should avoid processed foods. Processed foods here, almost all the time we have been talking about them. Polished rice we have here.
Perfumed
rice. The perfumed rice, polished. And now women have now started polishing maize on their own. They remove the bran, if I say the bran, the cover of the maize grain, and then just because they want to make the teaser or whatever it is very nice looking and white. So but the moment you take off those things, then you are taking important nutrients off that food or that food item. And the important nutrient here is the mineral salts and vitamins that are found. Most of them are found in the surfaces of those foods, not inside the food item, but just
on the surface.
Especially the maize and the rice. Right. So if you take the polished rice or the maize you process on your own, then you are taking off those key nutrients, and they maintain our body system, especially the baby, to maintain a good health. They are supposed to be there, especially in relation to electrolyte balance and all those things. They have to contribute a lot. But if you are taking off that, you are going to cause a lot of harm to yourself. And then if not just because of the baby, what will be left, especially for maize or rice, is basically sugar, or the one we call glucose. After digesting, it's just going to move into your system. I mean, your body doesn't even like that kind of sugar or that kind of glucose because it's not good for the system. What happens is that the system gets flooded at once, and the body wants a system where after digestion, nutrient moves slowly, gradually, where it can easily take it to the needed places and it will be used up. But here's the case that it gets flooded in your bloodstream. That is why most of these foods leads to diabetes. Yes.
Right. Okay. So how about alcohol?
Yes. You have reminded me. Alcohol is for pregnant women. There's no doubt about it, and there's no argument. They just tell you to completely avoid alcohol intake.
Right.
Because Alcohol, even though it also contributes to energy, it contains about 7 kilocalories of energy when you take alcohol, but that is not what the body really needs. And then what happens is that alcohol easily absorbs into the bloodstream. It's very simple to go into the bloodstream. It doesn't lay in the stomach. And then it can also cross the placenta. For a pregnant woman, it easily crosses the placenta to the fetus. And then it will be assumed that your fetus is also drinking alcohol. And then that's what we call fetal alcohol syndrome. Yeah. So it will be assumed that your fetus is taking alcohol. Now, alcohol is very difficult to break down. Yeah, for you, all you know, you just take in alcohol and then you are good, you are going. It's because your liver is working very well. The liver has the tendency to break the alcohol down. But for the fetus, it's going to affect it. And then what happens is that those babies are likely to be deformed. Their brain will not be developed well. They have cognitive problems. They have attention problems when they grow up. When they go to class, they can't learn very well. These are some of the effects of.
Would there be some developmental delays, maybe delay in walking, talking?
All those things will come. Talking, they don't look like their peers. Yeah, you compare your baby to another baby who of the same age, but your baby is always behind, walking, all these things. And then they can't express themselves well. They have low confidence in themselves. These are some of the effects of alcohol, especially during pregnancy. And for the pregnant woman, it can cause miscarriage, it can cause preterm birth, low birth weight, stunted children, all these things. Alcohol counts a lot for fetus. And then one thing about these things is that nutrition, you may not even realize that these are the effects of what you did when you were pregnant. Because it comes later, maybe 2 to 3 years or 5 years within the child's life. And what did I do
wondering,
wrong?
Or you be accusing someone of witchcraft.
Yeah, that is it. It started a long time, and you will not realize that.
Right. Okay, so this is a little bit out of nutrition.
Okay.
There are a lot of medications that are contraindicated in pregnancy, but then we see pregnant women always self-medicating instead of checking with a prescriber or a physician as to whether those things are safe. Some even go ahead to take these local concoctions. I don't know, for whatever reason. Do those things affect the fetus?
It affects a lot. Even under normal circumstances, and when a pregnant woman goes to the hospital, there are some drugs they will not give her because of the fetus. But here's the case: you walk to the pharmacy shop and you buy on your own. Are you aware that that drug may not be good for you or for the fetus? So you take it, and later it's going to cause a lot of complications. So it's always good you go for prescriptions. Let a qualified physician prescribe the drug for you before you then take it. Otherwise, you are going to cause a lot of problems for you. And then when you look at the local medicines, sometimes during labor, there is for qualified medical officers, they know the processes that the woman goes through. The cervix is opening, it's time for all those things, they know. But here's the case: in the local setting, that thing is not really known. And then there is one popular medication they have been using when a woman is in labor, and it can cause a lot of problem, because when the cervix is not yet opened and you apply it, it will force the uterus to contract, and that is going to cause a lot of devastations.
You could get tears, because if your cervix is not dilated,
it's not dilated well, it's going to cause a lot of problems. So in recent times, they usually went to train these local birth attendants on those things, and I think that is a very good move. But still, those things still exist. And then if you wrongfully apply it when the cervix is not well dilated, it will affect you and the baby as well.
Right. So it's very important that whatever medication you take, you have to check with a prescriber or a qualified physician for the safety of your fetus. Okay, so we're going to take a break, and then when we're back, we'll move to the second section of our program.